This video will show you how to use Box as a content management system for the Florida Focus class. Let's jump straight to 2021 Fall Stories because this is the folder that you're going to use most often. The first project we have here is package 1, and I created a couple of folders as examples. So the template for how you will name these folders is the slug for your story, then your first and last name. So for example, if I'm doing a story that's slugged Black Lives Matter and my name is Jeanette Abrahamson, I'm going to name it Black Lives Matter, Jeanette Abrahamson. So to show you how to create this, you'll go over to the top right where it says new. You'll click that button, click folder, and then you'll go ahead and just type the name here. So let's just say BLM protest USF, and let's say I'm Jeanette Abrahamson. And it really doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase, and then you'll just hit create. And then your folder will be right here. So when you open the folder, this is where it's really important to stay organized because your whole team will be collaborating with you and other classes will need you to stay organized. So this is not just like sloppy folders that you have on your desktop. This is really when you start creating good habits that are going to hopefully help you maintain organization and work faster if you go work at a media outlet after you graduate. So these folders are pretty consistent with industry standard. You'll have a folder for your transcripts. So when you open this, you'll see Word documents that you're going to create. So let's say you interviewed me, Jeanette Abrahamson, and I'm a USF instructor. And then you put the interview through an automatic transcription software. There's lots of free ones out there. You're going to go ahead and just put the transcript here with some time codes. So that way you can pick some of the sound bites out for your package. And then I could jump in and say, hey, there's this really good spot here that I think you should incorporate into your story. Or maybe there's a sound bite that we could use for a special open or for a promotion. And maybe the news editing students will go into your transcript and find quotes that they could use for web. So a lot of people use these transcripts for different things. So it's important to transcribe your interviews. Let's say you interviewed 2 people and you're going to create the Word doc. You would go over here, new, click on that, and then go to Word doc. And then let's say you interviewed Bob Ross, and he's a painter, then you would just hit or transcript, and then you hit create. And then this would launch your Word doc online. And then this is where you'd paste your transcript. So this is just like a regular Word doc, but the main difference is that other people have access to it. So many people can be typing in here at once. The main thing that's kind of funky about this is if you exit out and then later you go back and you click on this, it will go to like a preview window. So you want to hit this open this file in Microsoft Word Online, and then you'll get back to where you were. So some people get tripped up there. They click on these and then sometimes you get this little window, or let's say it actually does load and it gives you a preview. People will try to click here and start typing, but it won't let you type because it's not the actual Word doc. It's just a preview of it. So I'll show this again a couple times in other files because that is probably the one thing that most people get kind of stuck on using Word Online in Box. So all of your transcripts will be right here. That way, let's say your news editing student is looking for another quote. They could just like type my name in, or they could type Bob Ross Painter in, and then the transcript will pop up and it'll just be a lot faster for everybody to work together that way. The other folders include stand-ups, but you don't have to shoot stand-ups. Like let's say you're more of a documentary style video producer. You don't need to include stand-ups. But if you are creating packages that are called reporter packages where you have stand-ups in them, you do want to create a folder and upload that media in here. So you'll put perhaps an intro stand-up, bridge stand-up, tag, close stand-up. You just want to put all of those in here. That way I can watch them and I can help you and they're organized. You're also going to upload all of your B-roll here and then a separate folder for the video interviews. So when you're uploading anything into Box, you can just like drag and drop it here, or you can upload the file and then drag it from whatever folder you've organized everything in. So those are the main folders that you're going to need. And then you have your script, which needs to have your slug, your first and last name, and the word script. The main thing when you're editing scripts, of course, remember to open the file in Microsoft Word Online. The formatting issue that throws people off the most is spacing. So if you have a script here and you notice that it's double space, you can highlight it and you go over to these three dots, click line spacing, and then go to line spacing options. When you open line spacing options, you may notice that it defaults to 8. After, just hit 0 there. And then when you hit OK, everything should be single space. It is really important to single space all of your scripts. And then let's go back here. And the other last thing that you're going to upload into these folders is your finished content. So when you're done editing your package or your show, you're going to upload it here with the slug followed by the story form. So Black Lives Matter package. Once I'm done editing my stinger, I'm going to write Black Lives Matter stinger. And I'm just going to upload it directly into here, either by dragging and dropping it. And you could do this several different ways. I think drag and drop is probably the easiest, but you could upload, you could click file upload, you could upload whatever you need. And there's always 10 ways to do the same thing, but I just will drag and drop it from like a Finder. But just make sure that the slug is consistent. And then whatever you have after there is accurate. So like, let's say it's an OTS graphic, then put OTS. So Black Lives Matter OTS, Black Lives Matter stinger, or Black Lives Matter package. So that's just the most important thing that you need to know to stay organized so that everybody else can find what they're looking for. You'll do the exact same thing in all of these folders here. So all of the packages and including your feature show. Let's say like I made a bunch of these folders and we don't need them anymore. We can delete them by clicking these three dots. Like if you accidentally make something, you can trash it. Just make sure that you're not deleting your classmates' work. You really want to be careful because everybody's using this together. If you do accidentally delete anybody's work, just give me a heads up. I can help you recover that probably, hopefully, but be careful and make sure that you're also not accidentally moving folders around. So like you don't want to drag and drop folders unless you intend to move them. You could also move things like, let's say you're inside of your B-roll folder and you accidentally uploaded all of your interviews to your B-roll folder and you want to move it to interviews. All of these folders can be moved by dragging them, but you can also click these three dots and move or copy. And so you just would locate the content that you wanted, and then you could move it, like let's say to another folder like that. And then if you did it on accident, you could undo. So there's lots of these cool little things that you could do with Box, but just be careful that you're not moving so quickly that you accidentally mess up anybody else's work. So this is the main folder. The rest of these, let's go through them a little faster. Your file media folder is going to be helpful because there's tons of file video that you may end up using from different people who have shot video before. So yay, you're working on a team with people who have shot lots of stuff. So let's say you're doing a story on COVID vaccinations. Well, Lauren and Alice shot video of this COVID vaccination site. And if you want to look at all the clips here, you can just click these switch to grid view options and you could look through Lauren's content and you can say, oh, this is the clip that I really want. And then you could just download that by clicking on these three buttons and you could hit download, or you can click on it and then preview it and you could watch it. If it's a shorter clip and if it's smaller, you'll usually be able to play it pretty quickly. But sometimes if it's a larger clip, you may have to just download it first. You could also hit download up here, or you could download the whole folder. So instead of downloading each individual ones, if you know you need the whole folder, it might be easier just to download it here. And so you'll download the whole folder. just make sure that you're giving people credit when you're using their content. You don't need to give me credit, but you do need to give credit to other students or anybody else whose content you're using, and you'll put their name at the top of the script. So let's say you're creating a story about COVID, you shot video, so you are also a videographer, but you use some of Lauren's video. Well, you need to make sure to also say videographer Lauren Siegel on there, because that content goes to our YouTube channel, it goes to WordPress, and if we're submitting our shows for awards, we want to make sure that everybody who created the content is getting recognition for that. So there's lots of stuff here. The best thing is that if we're naming these correctly, you can actually just search for it with keywords and then it'll pop up. Like, let's say you're doing a story about marijuana dispensaries. Well, here are some great videos from Motion Array, and these are all fair use. You can use these in your content. So of course, the goal is going to be for you to shoot as much of your video yourself, because you want to showcase your skills to prospective employees, but sometimes you're not going to have access to these things. Maybe you're referring to something that happened in the past. So like, here's an example. James uploaded this MAGA rally. Well, that's a file video. It happened in the past. You can't go back in time and get it, but you can use this clip and say, this is the event where this happened if you're referencing a specific thing, for example, or voting B-roll from the previous election or whatever, or Black Lives Matter protests that happened in the past. So this is really helpful, and please continue to contribute to these by adding your own content. Make sure to add your own name for credits. You can create folders, or you can also go into existing folders and just upload your content there. The next part in the Florida Focus folder here inside of File Media is archive. So anything that we do when we're done with it, news of the day shows, feature shows, it all goes here. That way you know where to find your content if you hadn't downloaded it yet, or if you need to go back and find a previous package that somebody else worked on. Maybe they shot this great video and it's not in the file video folder, and you need manatee video or something. You could search the word manatee and find like, oh, here are stories that we've done about manatees, and you can find the content there. You could go in and look at the B-roll, and here's B-roll that somebody else did from before. So this is Kaylee's video. So like, let's say you're going to be using this amazing B-roll of manatees. You just want to make sure to credit Kaylee, and you can preview it just by doing that. But that's really great that we have the ability to just use these keywords. So it's important that you do that, because you'll help yourself out to get credit for content that you create even in the future. But it's also great for you if you need some of this, because if, let's say we're doing a story on manatees and you just can't get any video of it, well, we have lots of video of it. So make sure to work as a team. That's really a great part of working together. We have file audio as well, songs that you might want to use for your shows, and we have sound effects. Let's say there's like profanity or something in the background of one of your protest videos. Well, there's like a bleep that you could use to censor that, and some other effects that you might find helpful. The other one is the file graphics. So the next part here is teases and promos for the news editing students who will be promoting your content. It's important to upload this for them so that they can upload the teases to Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So let's take a look at previous teases. Some of these are stand-up teases that reporters did, which is great if you're trying to be on air because it gives you more content for your reel. But other students want to create graphics, so you'll see like some special opens on here. You should watch these and get ideas for like creative stand-ups that you can do. So like, for example, here's one that Deanna did where she put her camera like in a box and opened it up, and it was just like, it's an interactive stand-up.
I'm Deanna Lampisona. Tonight I'm
promoting her story that's coming up. So these are great for us to do. These are great for us to create, but they're also really good for the news editing students. So if you know when your story is airing, you can include the date. But the most important thing, especially if you don't know when your story is airing, is to include the slug. And that's the consistent slug that you used when you pitched the story on Facebook, when you created the folders on Box. Everything needs to have the exact same slug. So it's really, really important. And this is an issue that will follow you throughout your career. Slugging naming conventions are always a bigger deal than you realize. So just trust me. Use consistent slugging and naming conventions. Then you can include your Twitter handle. If you're including your Instagram handle, just write IG. And this is a great way to communicate for the news editing students. It's also important that the teases are MP4 video format. So don't upload an MOV. They may have a hard time uploading that to some social media platforms or running them on their computers, depending on, what operating system or whatever they have. So make sure that it's an MP4 for your teases here. And also make sure that they are trimmed. So if you're doing a stand-up, for example, make sure that there's no pad. You want them to be able just to upload exactly what you did. You don't want them to have to edit any of the content that you put in this folder. The other one is behind the scenes. These are great folders that I encourage you to use, and I love them for, it's just like a fun thing for us to have, honestly. It's cool for us to see, like, this is Hannah shooting interviews and B-roll. Here's some great video or photos of Demi setting up her at-home studio. And if you look at some of these other folders, you'll see some cool examples of like what you can do. And it's just a great way for us to engage with our audience. Like, here's some videos, some time lapses. Here's our puppies. And we have a lot of dog fans in the house. So it's just like a cool way for audiences to see, like, oh, this is the life of a producer. And here's what it looks like if you're a show editor. And it's fun. So use these folders anytime you are on a story or anytime you're working on anything. Take pictures of it, and you'll probably also be really happy that you documented your experience too. But it's great for our social media presence. The next folder here is rundowns. This is something we're going to talk about later in the Canvas, but I'll show you some quick examples of like previous semester rundowns. I'll just kind of jump in some random ones here. We'll find one. And then, of course, there's an archive where you'll see a lot of them there. But let's look at Peyton's. Let's see which one this is. Here's a rundown that had 3 stories. So Alcohol Awareness Month, and you will learn how to read this. It's important. Even if you're not a producer, you have to know how to understand what this says. So like a show editor has to know how to read this. Really every role in a TV studio, even if you're not news, like you need to know how to read these and understand what they're saying. So we're going to talk a lot more about this later. But this is where these will all live. It's basically our roadmap for what the show is going to look like and what order things are going to be in and how much time everything's going to take. And so rundowns are really awesome. I'm a former producer, so I love rundowns, but you can access formal ones there and get ideas for how you can be a creative producer. But that's where our rundowns will live. You also have the archive folder where you'll find all of the former shows. In the administrative folder, please take a minute to go into the social media handles Excel sheet. Again, open the file in Microsoft Excel Online in order to edit. Scroll over to the left and you'll put your name here, Twitter handle, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and website. That'll help us promote one another. And it'll be great for the news editing students as well. There's a couple other things in the administrative stuff folder, like the media contact list. So anytime you conduct an interview with somebody, please put their name and their number and email here and the keywords for their story topic. So that way, any of us can reach out to them again in the future if we have questions about something, or let's say there's like a really good expert on COVID or, whatever it is that we're interviewing them for. This is consistent with other media outlets and it just makes everybody's life more efficient. There's some other stuff here that you're welcome to look around in, but you won't need most of these. The templates folder is something you're also going to use a lot of. It's the Motion Array templates folder where you'll find any Motion Array, Premiere Pro, After Effects, or Mogart templates that I'll upload here for you. If you scroll down, you'll see these zipped files. So anytime I say, oh, I uploaded it, it's in Box, it's probably going to pop up right here. And you can also search for keywords. So if you found something on Motion Array, just type like the title, the name of the template, and it will pop up here. And if it doesn't, just let me know and I'll make sure that I upload it here. And that's where the templates will live. And if you find something on Emotionary, just search for it first here to see if I've already downloaded it, because we have like more than 1,000 templates in here. So there's chances are it might already be in there. You'll have templates for rundowns here. You'll want to open it in Excel Online in order to copy and paste and keep that formatting. And then we also have script templates here. Most of the time in this class, you're probably going to be doing packages and donut scripts, but we do have templates for all of the main story forms that you can just copy and paste into your scripts. This is standard formatting for ENPS content management systems. Some other stations use like double column script formatting, but I like to use this one. This is the way we formatted our scripts when I was producing at WFLA. And it's very important that you format it like exactly this way, single space and all of that. So just copy and paste, like do yourself a favor, go down to donut template script, for example, copy and paste this exactly the way it is into script. And then make sure to like delete my instructions. So replace this with your slug, go in here and, replace this with your file name, make sure that your time codes are here, make sure that it's exactly this way. That's very, very important for your team. I know that's one of those things that sounds like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, but it actually is a very big deal for everybody else to communicate and do their jobs quickly. So this is one of those things that if you learn how to slug consistently and format your script properly, you will make friends in your newsroom and in your media outlet. If you don't do that, people will get really frustrated with you because you'll be wasting their time. And usually you don't realize that that's what you're doing. And so you're like, oh, not a big deal. I'll double space and I'll move the things around and I don't need editor notes. But you really, really do, because other people are working on the content with you. And so it is very, very important to maintain like a really good, healthy working environment that's efficient and saves people time. So the last couple ones here, and then we're almost done, is the finished shows folder. This is where the shows will go when they are heading to PBS. That is an MXF file for broadcast, which is different than the MP4 files that we're going to be using when we post our shows on YouTube. All of the old ones are here too, so you can download your shows whenever the shows are done. We also have a folder here for your show open, close, virtual sets, and your lower thirds. So when you're editing a show and you're keying out your anchor and you're going to pop them on the virtual set, this is where all of those are. So that's what all of this looks like. You also have, OTS shots, the control room shots, and a variety of different box options, depending on what it is that we're trying to achieve. We have our close video here, our lower third templates, a couple of generic stingers like our COVID stingers that we might use more often. This is important. This is our preset for WEDU. So you will download it here. Don't try to just upload it. You need to just download it as is. And then there is a step-by-step guide in our Canvas module for how to import that preset into Premiere Pro. So when you export your show, it'll be in the correct preset that's ready to broadcast on PBS. So that's an important one. That's where that lives. There's also a link to that in Canvas. And you'll have your OTS, generic OTS, music for open and close, and your open video. If you have any issues with any clips, let's say it was glitching, there was weird stuff happening, you can upload it into this problem clips for Steve Mutimer folder. He is the one who runs the CIS lab and can sometimes help us figure out what's going on with different files. We may also have folders for students in other classes like advanced reporting, TV news, broadcast news. If they're going to upload stories for us to air, you would find those here as well. So let me know if you have any questions and have a great day.